Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. This is your Friday show and we will be covering primarily Crown Jewel related news today, given that it's tomorrow and I will not be hosting a watch party. We will be talking about who the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have requested, the fact that Jake Paul will be involved in some capacity alongside Logan Paul, a potential update on the Saudi deal going forwards. We're going to do predictions and a preview for Crown Jewel itself. We've got a little something on some Royal Rumble returns that are expected and are now formally planned. And yes, while I see certain people already mentioning it in the chat, Sasha Banks has released a brief video on Instagram that is certainly teasing something in particular. We'll be discussing that as our last piece of news. So welcome everyone. This, as always, is an Ask Me Anything stream. If you're new to the channel, please remember to hit subscribe, hit like before we get started, jump in with your questions, literally just jump straight in, say hi, ask me a question, lurk if you'd prefer, whatever works for you. I will try and answer every possible question that we get, so please do jump in and say hi. Welcome everyone. Carlos Colon, first person, says Sasha Banks teases big news in November on her Instagram. There will indeed be big news there. Eric Douglas says, do you think the Last Doctor will clear Soraya? Carlos quite accurately saying the Last Doctor is Britt Baker, whom she will challenge at Full Gear. First person you will have heard report that, my good self. Simon is asking about Sasha's big announcement. Is she coming back at War Games? Carlos also just shouts the word War Games. Wrestler Fan says, is Seth Rollins in Saudi Arabia? Yes, he is. I can confirm Seth Rollins is indeed in Saudi Arabia. Code said it's been 6 months since the walkout and she mentioned 6 months. She did indeed. Stuart says, evening Tom and chat. Welcome Stuart, how are you doing? Eric Guadarrama, please let me know if I get your name wrong, says hi. Welcome Eric, how are you doing? Okay, and on the Twitch side, Sean Cena is here saying hello Tom. Bailey says hello Tom, is SmackDown live or taped? Given how many people are at Crown Jewel, it is taped. They had a double taping this time last week. We will still be hosting ourselves a watch party for it. Sean says, according to Fightful, thank you for sourcing, Mia Yim is coming back. Not the biggest surprise, though we'll wait and see as regards who she comes back with. Spider-Boss says, hello Tom, Sasha's Instagram video made my day. Michael says, hi Tom. Hello Michael. Traffic says, good afternoon Tom and chat. Thanks as always. Welcome Traffic. Venom says, hi Tom. Hope you're well. Very well, thank you Venom. Welcome to yourself. Callie says, hi Tom. Hope you are well. Hope both of you are very good. The Great FDR says, hello Tom. Good day for a spoiler warning. A good day indeed. The Great. Great to see you. Adrian Beccaro says, good day sir. Hope all is well. All is very well. Thank you. And I hope you are too. Venom says, do you think Sasha returns at Crown Jewel? No. Joey says, hey Tom, do you have any news on this potential threat in Saudi? Nope, I do not. That is not something that I have news of. To be absolutely blunt, that's way above my level of journalism here. Way above it. Way above it. We will be touching on that briefly, though I will say I have no exclusive info as regards that. Not many people do, and if they do, they probably shouldn't be sharing it. Matthew Johnson says, evening Tom, good to see you, hope you're well. Welcome Matthew, great to see you jumping on Discord as well lately. Great to see you, mate. Steve says, Tom Colohue, happy Friday to you, buddy. Happy Friday to you too, Steve. Great to see your prediction video doing so well, especially now that you're actually making money from it. Asuka says, will Bliss and Asuka get a good title run? Potentially yes, unlikely. Unlikely in my mind. Spider-Boss says, my Crown Jewel predictions, Roman and the Usos retain, Omos win, Bailey win, and Io and Dakota win. Hector says, happy Friday, Tom. Hope your day is going a lot more oozy than I am, because I feel like the sick bug is finally getting to me. Sorry to hear that, Hector. Very sorry to hear that. Hopefully you recover nicely. Flying says, just here to leave a comment, like, and watch. Well, that's all the things you could possibly do, Flying, so I appreciate that very much. Connor has renewed his membership on the YouTube side, saying, hello Tom, how has your week been? That's a 5th month for you, and has just renewed his subscription over on Twitch as well for a 15th month in a row. Since day one in my channel, you have been subscribing, and I very much appreciate it. It says hello over here also. Thank you very kindly, sir. Joey says, what will Seth be doing at Crown Jewel? There are unconfirmed reports of an open challenge. Spider-Boss says, do you see Io and Dakota winning tomorrow? I do not. Venom says, do you think Tegan Nox returns and aligns with Damage Control? No. Well, that's 2 questions. One of the answers is no. Code says, who do you think will solve the OC's Rhea Ripley problem tomorrow? Who says it's going to be tomorrow? Austin says, different time for the stream. Yes, briefly, if you're not in the UK. If you're in the UK, it's still 10 PM. However, it's slightly different than what our usual system is over in America, because we in the UK have daylight savings time, and I believe you guys are getting it this week. It means the SmackDown starts at midnight and finishes at 2 p.m. A great time to be a SmackDown watch-along streamer. Dad says, big up Tom, how come Seth has not got a match tomorrow? He has not been booked to wrestle, that's why. Wrestler Fan says, when is Edge expected to return? Around Royal Rumble time is when I would expect to see Edge. He hasn't run out of all his dates for this year, but he may be saving some for next year anyway. Spiderboss says, do you think that the OC win at Crown Jewel? Nope. Jamar says, hope you're doing well, Tom. I hope Sammy is the lead to dethrone Reigns. It would be perfect. Any chance? Yes. Quite a few changes have already been made over the fact that Sami Zayn has been so well received by the fans. Quite a few changes have been made in that regard. Simon is excited for Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville. No DQ tonight. Michael says, I actually liked Alexa and Asuka. Unexpected and made it seem like anything can happen. I do expect they'll have a championship reign. I don't think it will last more than, say, 6 months. Which, to be fair, when it comes to the Women's Tag Team Championships, is pretty long. Spiderboss says, Roman at the press conference today was funny. He always is, mate. He always is. Martin Shadowwolf says, does Mia return? If so, is she alone? There is a report from Fightful stating that Mia Yim is going to return. As regards being alone, we'll see. You never can tell. Carmelina, welcome. Jaden says, hi Tom, how are you doing? Doing very well, Jaden. Great to see you, sir. Pierre says, hi Tom, how are you? Do you have anything about what that Sasha video... Yes, I will be discussing the Sasha Banks video shortly. There is all the news I already had planned and scripted will come first. Stick around. Austin says, do you think Alexa and Asuka retained because Damage Control had their side plate still on there at the press conference today? No, that is not a determination of championship reign. Joey says, if Steph has an open challenge, will it be Ali or a surprise opponent? If it's an open challenge, it could well be a surprise opponent. As I say, unconfirmed reports, so I don't know. Jason Natwick, welcome, says, trust your news over everybody. Have a sick feeling Logan wins the belt and Fury cashes in. Hope not. That's not going to happen. Spiderboss says, when could we see Ronda defend her title again? Very shortly. Probably on SmackDown. Very soon, before the end of the year. Venom says, how likely is it that Tegan is back? Also, does Triple H want her back? I've reached out since. Triple H is interested, but there is a lot of red tape to get through first. The issue when it came to Tegan Nox was not in relation to I don't want her. It was a case of we've got some serious visa issues and we're doing the best we can. Razal says, I was surprised Seth versus Ali isn't on the card. Was it pushed back or ever even planned? It's been discussed, but it was not planned for Crown Jewel. Triple H likes a very compact card, and adding more matches would not work for that. Spiderboss says, when we could see the Judgment Day take the L. We could see that tomorrow if you're watching the show. Hector says, I know you don't cover AEW. I do sometimes, only on big news though. But I'm so glad Malachi Black is on the cusp of returning. That House of Black vignette is how he should have been presented from day one. Glad to see everyone is back on good terms and healthy. Always the most positive spin, and I very much appreciate that. It's wonderful to see you bring such positivity into the show there, Hector. It's really nice seeing stuff like that. I completely agree. Sean says, I can't believe most fans are taking Alexa and Asuka's win way too seriously. Some have threatened to sue WWE. Oh, I've just got a lot of catch up. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, some people are really stupid. Spiderboss says, Becky in the third season of Young Rock was awesome. Becky with American accent. It's cool. I enjoyed the clip I saw. Simon says, Liv really glad enjoyed the UK European tour. She especially enjoyed Geneva, Switzerland. Callie says, don't forget it's all on the table. Everything is on the table. Rob's welcome. Says, I kind of like the 6 p.m. EST time slot. Good afternoon, Tom. Well, unfortunately, I do believe America goes to daylight savings time tomorrow, which means we go back to 5 p.m. for the US. I can't really do 11 p.m. here. I mean, I suppose I could. See how it goes. Timothy says, I hope R-Truth recovers quickly. Me and you both. Billy says, good evening. Good evening, Billy. Good evening, Timothy. The great FDR says, is Mansoor going to be on the card for Crown Jewel? If he is, it would have to be as a surprise challenger. Sean Ireland, welcome, says, I've seen that WrestleVotes reported that Stone Cold Steve Austin is open to having another match at Mania. Do you see this as the only way Punk could possibly return? No. First and foremost, what WrestleVotes reported is that one source say that one source believes we may see Stone Cold wrestle at WrestleMania. So it's far from saying Stone Cold is open to having another match, and it's very far from saying he will have another match. Also, as regards CM Punk, is Steve Austin a fan? Be news to me. Code says, would love to see Jake Paul take a nice Superman punch tomorrow. I find that likely, very likely, that he'll also be super kicked. Austin is excited about Ronda Shayna, very much in the works at the moment. We have been talking about it for a while. I'm glad it's finally happening. Martin says, oh my god, Tom just said you never can tell. Chuck Berry coming back to life. Just joking, keep up the good work, Tom. Thank you kindly, Martin. I am catching up, which means we will be coming up to our first piece of news shortly. Please remember to hit the like button. Every thumbs up makes a massive difference to the growth of the channel, and I'm very, very grateful for all of the support that I've been receiving over the last few months. We are currently at 1,783 subscribers. We started the day on 1,776. Let's just say shorts are doing very well for us at the moment. So if you've not yet subscribed, we only need 17 more to reach 1,800, and that leaves only 200 left for our end of year target. Spider-Boss says, I see the bloodline beating up the Paul brothers, Logan and Jake. That is the plan, yes. Joey says, what is the news you have on the Rumble? Coming. The news is coming on the Royal Rumble. The multi-stream is struggling a little bit when it comes to YouTube side, but I'll do my best to keep up. Razar says, personally, I think bringing back all these women won't change much. If they just get thrown out there and get no character development, it means nothing. I am slightly concerned about what they did with Emma. It was not the strongest start for her, as I'm sure you guys realise. Timothy Bella says, love your videos, Tom. Thank you, Timothy. Appreciate that. Venom says, who else do you think could return on the women's side? There's a whole host of people who could return on the women's side. Carmella, I'm sure we'll see at some point soon as well. Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Naomi. There's a whole lot of people still to come. Daz says, when is Becky back? News on that shortly. Simon says, Tom, why wasn't MJF on Dynamite this week coming back to kick the firm's butt in revenge for the beatdown? Because he was selling the beatdown. He was putting over the people who beat him up. Steve says, are you excited about the potential of Shibata wrestling in AEW? Yes, I've been waiting a long time to see that one, but they are protecting him really heavily, and there is definite question marks about whether or not he's actually being cleared. Will says, do you know any NXT stars Triple H is high on? Yes, all of the ones currently employed by the company, otherwise he would have released them. Simon says, I wish Saraya would get more TV time. They are waiting for their moment, they're trying not to overexpose her. Bailey says, your thoughts on adding Jeff Jarrett to AEW? Completely unnecessary, largely pointless. Oh well. Sai, welcome sir, says, hi Tom and all, hope we're all good. Welcome Sai, great to see you mate. I have been meaning to ask you if you can knock me up a new version of spoiler warning. All I want you to do is get rid of the Sunday part, because we don't do Sundays anymore and I've realised it's still there. So if you're able to do that for me, that'd be absolutely fantastic and I'd appreciate it. Sean says, I know it got confirmed to be the main event, but I've seen most fans say they want Logan versus Roman to open and Bayley Bianca to close. That is not going to happen. Logan versus Roman has always been the main event. It always will be the main event. Spider-Boss says, women as Emma and Mia Yim are good additions for WWE, but the women's division needs more star power. There are four big names who may or may not be coming back soon. Our first piece of news then is as regards requests made by the government, the kingdom, the monarchy of Saudi Arabia. Please remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help us grow. We currently have 101 views. Let's see if we can get up to 101 viewers with a few more likes. So, the Saudi Arabia deal has been a bone of contention for the WWE for a long, long time. A lot of people were of the opinion that with Vince McMahon walking away as he did, that would mean the end of the Saudi Arabia deal, which has always been considered a cash grab in the highest extreme. The Saudi Arabia deal is a $1 billion deal. This is via Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, who states that every show is worth $50 million. They are, of course, doing 2 shows a year for 10 years, 50 times 20, $1 billion deal. And there is every indication that Triple H and Nick Khan plan to continue that work. After the initial 10-year deal, the intention seems to be to launch straight into a brand new Saudi Arabia deal, and the WWE, officials inside, genuinely believe that they are making Saudi Arabia a better country with greater rights for women and less human rights abuses. That is what they believe. With this in mind, Saudi Arabia and Mohammed bin Salman, have I got that right? MBS, yes, have requested a number of different things from the WWE. First and foremost, they wanted celebrities. They wanted influencers. This is why we have Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. This is the entire reason we have Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul this early, and this is the entire reason that the WWE have pulled the trigger on Jake Paul. Jake Paul is not a popular man backstage in the WWE. Comments during the SummerSlam kickoff show really did not endear him to the locker room. The WWE, Triple H, certainly someone I'd be keeping an eye on this, is not particularly happy to be making this particular deal, but they have made the deal. Jake and Logan Paul now involved under the request of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This does mean that Logan Paul and Jake Paul are getting two distinct payouts, first from the WWE and then from Saudi Arabia itself. There is, of course, talk of an imminent attack in Saudi Arabia. This coming from the Wall Street Journal, who had sources stating that a potential attack, I believe from Iran, was being mentioned. The government of Saudi Arabia have made it clear to the WWE that this show will be going on. You'll hear what I said there. Sources indicate that the government of Saudi Arabia made it clear that the show would go on. The WWE do not have a backup plan in place. The plan is very much to continue as intended and host a show in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel, regardless of any potential threats. Triple H and Nick Khan are considering a new Saudi Arabia deal, particularly if they can get it to being a $1 billion deal as this current one is. Jake Paul and Logan Paul have both been requested by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. There is no intention to cancel the show under pretty much any circumstances. Sean says, sad news about Bodie Hayward. Liked him and he made me like Chase University. I never saw him in action. Hector says, according to PWInsider, Dominic Dijakovic is now listed internally as... Do you mean Donovan? Donovan Dijak. This is a good reboot for him with his old name coming back. Indeed. And that's pretty much the intention of the call down, as it were. Michael says, I think it was Observer who said that Nick Khan extended his contract through 2025. He did indeed, and it was indeed. This, of course, came with the promotion that he's received, the globalization strategy that Nick Khan is putting forwards. The continental approach that he is pitching is considered the future of the WWE. Everyone's real happy with it, including the people in charge, which include Nick Khan. Joey says, do you think Sammy could win the Elimination Chamber? I think he could. I don't think he will. Venom says, returns I want to see. Tegan Knox, AOP, Bronson Reed. How likely are these returns? All three of them have definitely had some direct contact. Steve says, any chance Carl Anderson could be written out of the match at Crown Jewel tomorrow so he can take part in original New Japan booking? Fantasy booking, but Edge and Beth returning to Team of OC could be fun. Carl Anderson is there in Saudi Arabia. To my knowledge, he does intend to fly back as quickly as possible. I don't necessarily think he's going to succeed at it. Venom says, do you think Bayley wins a title from Bianca? My predictions will be coming up next. Thank you, Si. Appreciate that. Billy says, I don't see Carmella coming back anytime soon of her current situation. No, but I do see her coming back. Spider-Boss says, the Wall Street Journal came with the news that Saudi Kingdom shared information with the US about a possible attack from Iran to Saudi Arabia on Saturday 5th is true. Once again, the Wall Street Journal have reported this. I'm not the Wall Street Journal. I have access to none of the sources that I'm aware of that they have, and I have no information to report about this particular piece of information. I will comment on the report that they've made. I have no exclusive news about any potential imminent attacks. That is way above what I'm capable of here. Way above. Noob, welcome. Says, hello, Tom. Did you see the press conference of Crown Jewel? Nope, I did not see the press conference of Crown Jewel, but I appreciate it happening because it gave me an immediate 500 views on a short earlier today. Spider-Boss says, how long until we get the Paul brothers, Logan and Jake versus the Usos for the tag team titles? Away yet, though I will say I believe it was about 2 weeks ago that I reported WWE interest in Jake Paul right here. So, apologies for putting myself over a little bit, but that is one that I reported a way back. Spider Boss says the matches I want to see the most are Roman versus Logan Paul and Bayley versus Bianca. Simon, debatable point as regards the ownership of Newcastle. Newcastle are very, very clear that the government of Saudi Arabia do not have any control over the running of Newcastle United. Let's just say they have a good reason not to be honest about that. Hey Ed, how you doing, mate? Simon says the Paul brothers are a disgrace to pro wrestling. I hope Brock Lesnar kicks both their stupid asses backstage. Their Bret Hart would be disgraced by those two Paul brothers in a title match. Okay, well, Brock Lesnar's not going to do that. I wouldn't say Logan Paul's a disgrace to pro wrestling. He's been doing a pretty good job from what I've seen, and Jake Paul has never wrestled. So I won't go that far. Spider-Boss says, do you see FDR returning to AEW anytime soon? Spider-Boss, you may enjoy my most recent video on the YouTube side, particularly as regards the video section, in which I discuss that exact topic, when FDR's contracts are going to expire, and what Triple H would like to do with them. Sean says, is there anyone the Kingdom of Saudi could request to have that WWE would say no to? They would try to say no to Yokozuna, for reasons, and they are trying to say no to The Undertaker. Triple H has been very firm in that. Hector says, I personally wouldn't work a country like Saudi, but I get it why WWE are currently wanting to renew that deal. $1 billion is a lot for your company and the future of it. Plus, hopefully it means financial compensation for more people involved in every Saudi show. The pay scale is actually quite good for Saudi shows, but there's plenty of people who still don't want to do it. Firstly, as we know, Sami Zayn won't go, Kevin Owens as well, not mentioned, and so on and so forth. Matthew Johnson says, your thoughts on Mandy's NXT Women's Champ run? I don't think it made her a better wrestler, but she got better in character development. Good heel run. It is a solid heel run. I do believe she got better as a wrestler, primarily because she has to wrestle much longer matches in that particular role, and so on and so forth. Dad says, who do you think will dethrone the Usos? Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Simon says, why doesn't the locker room just revolt against Jake Paul? Because why would they? He's only going to be there temporarily. He's going to get them extra exposure. And ultimately, what's the point? What's the value of it? Don't know what else to say there. Simon says, why doesn't Triple H just say no to the Saudi prince? We prefer pro wrestler in a world title match. Because once again, why would he? What's the advantage to him in doing so? What he's doing is creating a spectacle match with a celebrity in the top level, which is no threat to Roman Reigns. It's not a big deal. It really isn't. Billy says, Coke or Pepsi? It depends. Cherry Coke, but typical Pepsi. I prefer a Coke Zero to a Pepsi Max, but Pepsi with sugar? Oh, I'm all over it. Spider-Boss says, is there anyone in the Saudi Kingdom that could request have the 4 horsewomen in their pay-per-view? They could request, they wouldn't get it. Spider-Boss says, do you see Andrade El Idolo leaving AEW? Yes. At some point in his career, he will no longer wrestle for AEW. Right. James Stewart suggests that Here Comes the Money could be making an appearance. I mean, he's the best wrestler in the world. You can't doubt that. Joey says, I'm glad Crown Jewel is over after tomorrow. The Saudi shows are always lackluster and boring. I agree, but I have to agree. I haven't seen them, so I just do other things. Hi James, how you doing? Eric says, I was confused about the House of Black promo. Were you too? No idea, haven't seen it. Don't watch AEW regularly. Venom says, question about Mandy. Can she win the world title on the main roster? No, that is a different title. Also, I don't think she's beating Roman Reigns. You never can tell though. I mean, they're giving her a strong push. Raymond, welcome, says, hi Tom, nice to see you, just logged on. What did I miss? Not too much so far. We've discussed the Saudi deal at some length. The fact that it looks like Triple H and Nick Khan are very, very keen on another Saudi deal starting immediately after this one. It is a $1 billion Saudi deal. We also spoke about Jake Paul, Logan Paul, their inclusion, and a little bit on the response to the threat that has been reported in the Wall Street Journal. Simon says, is it going to be Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa versus the Usos? What? 3-on-2? Will says, people are reporting the thing that you reported months ago. Yeah. You guys know how that goes. You guys know that. Spider-Boss says, when we could see Jeff Hardy back in AEW, when Tony Khan wants him back in AEW, at the moment they're taking their time because of potential further controversy. That's the word I was looking for. Spider-Boss says, for me, the best Saudi Arabian pay-per-view is Crown Jewel 2021. Wouldn't know, haven't seen it. Spider-Boss says, I would love to see more pay-per-views in the UK. UK fans make pay-per-views feel special. They do. Spider-Boss, it suddenly occurs to me that you might be saying a show that didn't actually happen. Please remember to hit like. We're currently on 35 likes, but 82 viewers. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up. It does immediately boost the algorithm. It says to YouTube, people are engaging with the show, and it says to YouTube, this is worth driving traffic to. So please do consider jumping in, pressing that thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. We currently have 1,783, 17 away from 1,800. If we can get that over the course of this and our watch party, Tom will be a very, very, very happy boy. Great FDR says, hey Tom, other than the Paul brothers, Bad Bunny, etc., who do you think might jump ship into WWE as a guest celebrity? Well, those are obviously some quite big names first and foremost. There are a couple of people who are likely to make that jump. Cardi B has been mentioned a few times, and I do feel that one's likely. Beyond that, no one's currently planned at the moment, though around WrestleMania time we'll see a lot more. Hey KJ, how you doing, mate? Venom says, can someone tell me what visa issues mean with Tegan? Sorry if this sounds stupid. There is no further information. That's the information that we have, so unfortunately I can't really expand on it. KJ says, the last Crown Jewel show wasn't lackluster. A lot of people say that was the best pay-per-view for WWE last year. Would know, once again, have not watched it. And don't intend to. Simon says, thank goodness no more Paul brothers. Saudi shows after tomorrow, too political. Political how? Like the Logan and Jake Paul are not political. I mean, they're Bitcoin bros. Also, it's not no more Paul brothers. We're going to see more of them in future. Dimitar says, means she has issues travelling to other countries, which is very much the case. It means she may be limited in the ability to travel, and you need to be able to travel to attend wrestling. Billy says, how many pro wrestling events have you attended? 12, 13, something like that. Something like that. Simon says, I meant to have a KO solo teaming with Sammy versus the Usos at Mania 39 for the tag team titles. So once again, are you meaning 3-on-2? Because I did say who I expect to have beat them. Spider-Boss says, Crown Jewel 2021 had Sasha versus Bianca versus Becky, Roman versus Brock Lesnar. Cool pay-per-view. I'll take your word for it. Eric says, Tom, is it the blood money thing why Sammy won't go? No, it's because he's never been invited for a number of different reasons. Also, he doesn't want to go. They have the Sammy for Syria campaign, which of course Saudi Arabia not really working in his favour for that. Not really working in WWE's favour, but he does understand why the WWE do what they do. Venom says, I don't understand why Indy is not being moved up. As I say, a lot of call-ups have been cancelled on the basis of people returning instead, and that's exactly what is happening. Spider-Boss says, with Colt Cabana back in AEW, it was a shot to CM Punk, right? Little from column A, little from column B. It wasn't necessarily a shot at CM Punk, more a message to the elite that Tony Khan is on their side. Thank you very much, Keem World Peace. If you're keen on world peace, this is the guy for you. Welcome. Thank you very kindly for subscribing on the YouTube side. It's a big help and really helps the growth of the channel. Sean says, I'm surprised Jimmy can travel to Saudi with his DUI. Yeah, he's absolutely fine. No problems at all. Sai says, if they're going to main event the Paul brothers, I'd sooner it was on a glorified house show that many won't watch. Get it over and done with. I agree completely. Simon, you keep mentioning 3 people, so I don't see the 2 that you're talking about. Dimitar says, any idea on future women's feuds outside of the rumoured WrestleMania matches? Well, of course, the big rumoured feud at the moment is Becky versus Bayley, but there's a number of different possibilities for Ronda. I do see her over the next few weeks being involved in a tag team with Shayna Baszler. We will, of course, see Shayna Baszler in action tonight. Sean says, do you believe Johnny Gargano's reason for why Dexter is targeting Miz? No, because that would be ridiculous. And Simon says, Roman's promo on Raw was awesome. Venom says, I want Becky and Sasha as tag champs. That is very unlikely to happen pretty much ever. James says, what's the biggest surprise you've experienced watching WWE? Example being Edge return at Rumble. I got the news about Edge's return at the Rumble about an hour before it happened. Like, a lot of people are reporting it. I had no idea. About an hour beforehand, I got the news. I was like, oh, interesting. The biggest surprise for me was Goldberg squashing Brock Lesnar. That's the biggest surprise for me. Adrian says, any update on Chelsea Green? I'd love to see Deonna Purrazzo return as well to continue their VXT faction. Nope, no update here whatsoever. I've not reported any of that personally, so I don't have any news on it. Austin says, Bayley wins tomorrow maybe. That's certainly a possible prediction. Eric says, how are you liking the Liv-Sonya feud you're asking for? I actually like it so far. It's a nice feud. It's a good sort of sideways, which I like, as you might expect. It's just a way, of course, of getting them on the card in a very, well, not necessarily a particularly unique way, but it gets them on the card in a non-title capacity, which is very, very helpful. WWE Crown Jewel 2022 match card. Let's do our predictions. I do just want to open up the match card so I know exactly which matches to cover. I'm going via Bleacher Report, which has broken it down in, oh Jesus Christ, who have broken it down into 8 separate slides. What are you doing with your life, Bleacher Report? So, first and foremost, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. We are now going into my predictions for Crown Jewel, just to be clear on that one. Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. I expect Bobby Lashley to pick up the win here. He's been looking for continued feud with Brock Lesnar for years now. He finally started to get there earlier this year, and now he has a chance to go one-on-one with no championships on the line and just have a good damn fight. I do expect this feud to continue, but it'll be a while before we see Brock again. Personally, I have Bobby Lashley winning this one and then moving on to bigger and better things. Now, what those bigger and better things are, I'm not entirely sure, but he is likely to be involved in the Monsters division, which is based around where our second match comes in, Braun Strowman versus Omos. This is Braun Strowman's biggest threat since returning to the WWE, but to be fair, he's only really wrestled Otis so far since coming back. He's got a lot of momentum behind him. Omos, however, has never really been established as particularly tough. He is a giant there to be felled, and that is what I expect to happen. Braun Strowman to fell the giant that is Omos. Next up, we have the Club, that being Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows and AJ Styles versus Judgment Day, which is Finn Balor, Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio. Now, I do not expect this match to last long. In fact, I expect it to be the very first match on the card, maybe even pre-show if they had a pre-show. My expectation is that Judgment Day will pick up the win. Carl Anderson, of course, will then have to vanish nice and quick if he's to actually make it to a New Japan show. We'll see if that actually happens. Promises were made by WWE, so it'll be interesting to see if they're not kept. But then, of course, he'll be off and flying, leaving Judgment Day to celebrate. Steel cage match. Drew McIntyre taking on Karrion Kross. And this feud has been terrible. Terrible. The feud has just been bad. Drew McIntyre, for me, wins in the steel cage. Karrion Kross has had basically no offense the entire feud. Why would that change now? I have Karrion Kross losing to Drew McIntyre in a steel cage. Next up, for the Tag Team Championships, the Usos versus Fight Night, the Brawling Brutes, Rich Holland, pardon me, and of course Butch. I think this is more a spectacle match, just an option to get the bloodline on the card, and of course give an opportunity to Rich Holland and Butch, who've both been doing very good work recently. Sheamus will likely be in their corner, but it depends whether or not he's on his honeymoon. I haven't seen him in Saudi Arabia as of yet, and they don't necessarily need him. They have no chance whatsoever of winning. The Usos will be retaining both sets of tag team championships over Fight Night. We have the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Newly crowned champions Alexa Bliss and Asuka will be defending the titles against former champions Io Shirai and Dakota Kai. And by Io Shirai, I of course mean Io Sky. This should be quite the spectacle, should be a lot of fun. I do expect this to be a bit of a high-flying match as well. Asuka and Io Sky will definitely get some time in the ring. They've been teasing it for a while because there is a plan to give them their own program, probably in years to come, let's be fair. But at the point of which this match happens, Alexa Bliss and Asuka have only just won the championships. I don't see them losing them this quickly. Alexa Bliss and Asuka to retain the women's tag team championships. In last woman standing, we have Bianca Belair versus Bayley. And I have Bayley winning the Raw Women's Championship here at Crown Jewel because there's no other point for her to win it outside of, for example, the Royal Rumble event itself. It'll be a while then before we actually see them tangle again because there isn't much in the way of premium live event and we have War Games for Survivor Series. I have Bayley winning this one, defending against Bianca Belair at the Royal Rumble successfully, and taking on Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. As this last woman standing, I do expect we're going to see the rest of Damage Control and potentially even more. Nikki Cross, of course, likely to be involved in some capacity here in order to take this title away with a kick and a scream from Bianca Belair. That, of course, just leaves our main event, which is Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. And I'm just going to be serious for a moment. Logan Paul is not winning this match, guys. It's not, no, it's not happening. No. I used to bet against Roman all the time. Since winning the championship in this iteration, you stop betting against him. It's just not worth doing. Logan Paul is not winning these championships. So, to be clear, and I might take note of this and edit it down to a short soon. My predictions for Crown Jewel 2022 are Bobby Lashley beating Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman beating Omos, The Judgment Day beating the OC and Carl Anderson vanishing quickly, Drew McIntyre beating Karrion Kross in a steel cage, the Usos retaining over the Brawling Brutes, Alexa Bliss and Asuka retaining over Io Sky and Dakota Kai, Bayley winning the Raw Women's Championship from Bianca Belair, and Roman Reigns retaining both of his championships against Logan Paul. Might stick a time code in that because why the hell not? Let's catch up with the chat. We still have a little bit to talk about, potential Rumble returns that have been discussed, and of course the video from Sasha Banks. So be sure to hit like if you can. We're on 47 likes and 80 viewers. Welcome quite a few new people who've dropped in while I've been doing that. Welcome everyone. Simon says, I like anything Liv does. Nice. Venom says, give the belt to Bayley. Sick of the same crap with Bianca. Give it to Bayley so Becky can eventually take it from her. I do believe that's the plan. Marcel says, do you think Edge and Beth will help the OC win tomorrow? No, I do not believe they've travelled to Saudi Arabia. Dad says, when is Becky returning, Tom? Soon. Razar says, are they not doing Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series? If not, who will Ronda face? Ronda, from what I can tell, will not be directly involved, though I do think it's possible that Ronda teams with Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss and Asuka to join her and Shayna Baszler in War Games against Damage Control. I don't think it's likely, but I think that's the most likely that we're going to get, unless we get a rematch between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey, which I won't be against. I won't be against it. Sean says, what match opens Crown Jewel? I think it will be Judgment Day versus the OC. Raymond says, quite accurately, Becky is returning soon. More on that shortly. Daz says, as regards Lesnar versus Lashley, Lesnar to win via F5. Venom says, I'm hearing talk of a heel turn for Bobby. Who are you hearing that from, Venom? I'd be very interested to hear. Simon says, is Liv going to be in War Games? I don't think so. As regards to 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series matches, I believe War Games are replacing them. Eric says, I have Bobby, Omos, Usos, Damage Control, Bayley, Roman. Daz has Braun to win. Bismo, welcome, says Omos is let's go buy a t-shirt match. Slightly more polite way of saying it, I agree with you. Simon is also asking who's Ronda facing at Survivor Series. Daz says the club to win. Spider-Boss says the best thing about Judgment Day is Rhea Ripley. Rhea makes relevant that group. She's one of a lot of good things. I like Damian Priest's work, for example. Spider-Boss says, how long until we see Damage Control versus Bianca and Asuka and Alexa? Winner take all. I don't expect we're ever going to see winner take all, but I do think we're going to get that 6-person tag again. The great FDR says, boy, Karrion Kross is not clicking with the audience. You could not be more correct on that. Simon says, are we getting or seen getting any traditional normal 5-on-5 elimination matches this year? I don't believe so. I believe we get War Games instead. Daz has Drew to beat Karrion Kross. Simon says, the Paul brothers, you literally just said no more talk on the Paul brothers, mate. So I'm just going to read past it. Simon says, Drew for the win. Get rid of Kross. He's boring. Not a star, clicking with the audience. Same as Impact. Keep Scarlett. She's a star. Make Scarlett a women's champion in the future. I'm not going to go that far, but I do believe they need to work out their booking a little bit for Karrion Kross. Welcome, Christoph. Thank you kindly for a $2.49 super chat. Says, happy to support you, Tom, and Lil Fox at the end. Thank you, Christoph. I really do appreciate it. Every penny that we get here goes back into the channel at the moment and its overall growth, and helps me to create the content that we're making and the videos that we're making. I very much appreciate your generosity. Thank you. Christoph says, Tom, hope you're doing well. Do you think Io will get a major singles push in the future? Of course, for now, she's fine in the tag team. Yes, I do. And I do think that will be kicking off with a match against Asuka. Simon has Brock to win. Spider-Boss says, does Bayley win with some help? I don't see Bianca losing clean, nor do I, and I do suspect there's going to be some help along the way. Spider-Boss says, I've been saying it to my friends, never bet against Roman and the Bloodline, but we're going to have to eventually we're going to have to bet against him, but for now, let's not. Simon says, very hopefully Bayley wins the Raw Women's title, becomes a 6-time WWE Women's Champion. I do think at this point in time, what we're going to get is Becky versus Bayley at WrestleMania. Bismo says, I think Jake Paul accidentally KOs his bro, giving Roman the pin. That would be a little desperate and a little sad, but also I can see where you're coming from, and it seems a little likely. Christoph says, it's a good thing that a title change is not happening with Logan. Completely agree there. It's just not going to happen. Simon says, 5 seconds match, Roman Reigns spear, bury the Paul brothers. Nope, Roman doesn't like doing that. He likes a good half-hour match. Joey says, who do you think will be Roman's next challenger after Saudi? There's a lot of potential people. Jey Uso is an obvious choice. I do think Sheamus is going to be next in line with the way they're booking it at the moment, though that may come down to a 6-man free use versus Fight Night. Traffic says, I really hope Kross doesn't lose to Drew. Going to be just near impossible at that point to buy into his character. Lord knows it's been hard enough already. If your entire character is you can't stop me, well then you're going to have to come up with something once someone stops you. Simon says, do you think Austin Theory tries to cash in the briefcase tomorrow night? Probably. Not successfully, though. Dad says, what's your favourite match of Hogan's? The one against Shawn Michaels, where Shawn Michaels took the piss the entire time. Can't stand Hulk Hogan. He is a racist piece of shit. Rizal says, I would have liked to see Seth versus Ali over Drew versus Kross at Crown Jewel. You may get both. Who can tell? Sean says, I see Mia Yim joining Bianca's team for War Games. Spider-Boss says, give Rhea Ripley a money raise. She makes Judgment Day relevant and fun. Matthew says, my Amazon Echo device freaks out every time you mention Bliss. I can't really not mention her name, but it is a popular name as well. Spider-Boss says, since his return, fans haven't paid any attention to Kross. Because of the booking. It's terrible booking. Venom says, when do you think Sasha will finally get a Mania moment and win the women's title there? Well, she'll need to actually be in the WWE in order to do that. More on that shortly. Astrid says, hey Tom, welcome Astrid, how you doing? Raymond says, can't wait for Scarlett to get some action in the ring. Haven't seen much of her, but I hear she is good. She is good. She's very much worth it. In a similar vein to Zelina Vega, how she was kept out of the ring for so long. It was baffling because she's very good. Stuart says, I reckon they should have fed Kross some of the lower to mid-card guys before throwing him into Drew. That way he would have built some credit with the audience. So like Madcap Moss, for example, I don't think that was a bad idea, but at the same time, he really struggled to beat Madcap Moss. Joey says, do you have any news on the Queen of the Ring? I do. It is expected to return next year. I did mention that it wasn't expected to return this year. I've been mentioning that for a while, and it very much was not, but Triple H has made some changes. Venom says, as much as I dislike Bianca, I want to see her use her hair to whip Ronda and Charlotte. The day will come. Carlos says, Brock always says if he's not last, he will be first, so I predict Brock first match. Anderson's match in Japan will take place on another date, maybe January. Spider-Boss says, if we get Bayley versus Becky at WrestleMania 39, who do you have winning? Well, as a pure guess at this point, I will go with Bayley. Harsh Spider-Boss, unnecessary. Hector says, honestly, Karrion losing this feud with Drew could be worse than him losing to Jeff Hardy, because we're supposed to believe the second run is a new Karrion Kross that's a badass and a huge deal. That would be erased with a loss to Drew. Honestly, Hector, I believe it's been erased already. Simon says, Bray and Cody, the downfalls of Roman, both world titles at Mania 39. Joey says, is there any concern backstage of Kross not getting over? Yes, there is. I reported on that on Monday. Monday, spoiler warning, there's more information. Noob says, Asuka got a big pop in the Crown Jewel press conference. A lot of people did. Marcel says, is Bray doing a promo tomorrow or interfere in a match? He will likely be doing a promo. Very unlikely to interfere. He has not laid out any reason to do so. Bismo says, my Echo Dot reacts to Alexa Bliss's name almost every time as well. She just replies, I'm not sure. And why would she be sure? It's not even her name. Boo. We have a little bit to comment on as regards Royal Rumble returns. So quickly, a lot of these won't be surprises to you if you're a regular here, but there are a number of people that the WWE are expected to hold out on until Royal Rumble, giving a number of other people opportunities. First and foremost, Cody Rhodes is expected to be fit and firing before the Royal Rumble. He's ahead of schedule and is planned to be fit and cleared by around the turn of the year. That said, they are still planning to hold his actual wrestling return until the Royal Rumble. Randy Orton, another name that has been mentioned for that, though he may make his return slightly beforehand. Becky Lynch, given the fact that she has been acting in Young Rock, she is fielding a couple more offers at this point in time. The WWE are considering the possibility of letting her go and take some of these offers and waiting until the Royal Rumble for her return. But at this point in time, Naomi and Sasha Banks are not expected to return at the Royal Rumble. So let's talk about the Sasha Banks video. Sasha Banks popped onto Instagram to confirm that she's been waiting 6 months for something that the crew have been excited for as well. Yes, this is a direct reference to a WWE return. This is Sasha Banks confirming my report that negotiations are going well for a new contract and that she is still under contract herself. She has cancelled bookings in November. She is likely to return around November time based on what she is saying. To be clear, this is not a report from Tom Colohue. This is Sasha Banks saying this. My report is very much that negotiations are going extremely well. They are mostly happening at Titan Towers up in Stamford, Connecticut. There is still the possibility that Sasha Banks and Naomi return in time for War Games. Sasha Banks, to my knowledge, wants to be in War Games. She wants to be in War Games, and I find it most likely she'll be on the side of Damage Control. So that's the news there. Spider-Boss says, what do you think about Liv Morgan's new character? It's a little forced for me. Just a little forced, and that's kind of unnecessary. Hector says, Double J going to AEW says more about how WWE feels about him than anything, because he's always been a company guy. Not really sure what TK is thinking. Not only bringing him in, but putting him in a pretty major storyline as well. I disagree with that. He's not been a WWE company guy at all. He floated back and forth between WWE and WCW. He founded TNA. He's been all over the place. All over the place. Venom says they need to stop booking Kross to only win with Scarlett's help. No wonder he's not getting over. Absolutely correct. Joey says, could a member of the YSX be revealed tomorrow? No. At this point in time, the focus is entirely on Uncle Howdy. Venom says, will Sasha return to the Rumble? That is not the plan, to my knowledge, at current. Simon said, is Seth versus Mustafa Ali going to happen on an upcoming Raw? Nothing has been booked at this point in time. Matthew Johnson and Sean Ireland both shout, War Games. That says, when, if, is Cena returning? Likely WrestleMania time. Spider-Boss says, it surprises me that Sasha's fans want to see Sasha in the 2023 Rumble rather than Sasha coming back now. She wants to be involved in War Games, to my knowledge. Joey says War Games is the best time for her to come back since it's in Boston. Spider-Boss says, Sasha teaming up with Damage Control Survivor Series War Games match. Please, it's all I have been waiting for. Matthew says, we need someone to shout War Games like Regal did. Pierre says, Sasha Banks works better as a heel in my opinion. Definitely not surprised about her wanting to be on War Games. Joey says, do you think we'll see less divas and part-timers in the Rumble? Nope, I think it's a Rumble, so they'll throw a few random names in. It's the right thing to do. Kieran says, was Becky legit injured or did she take time off to record Young Rock Season 3? She was legit injured. She's recovering very well since, but she genuinely hurt her shoulder in the SummerSlam match. Simon, I want to be very clear here. You've got to know what I've reported and what you've heard is different. Venom wants Von Wagner versus Brock Lesnar. Horsey, how you doing, mate? Says, so sorry I'm late. I've been doing a show. Wanted to come give my support before I watch back on replay. Much appreciated, Horsey. Great to see you, mate. Thank you kindly. Sam says, I'm as happy as Gollum in The Lord of the Rings. Keenwell P says, where is KO? A slight creative hiatus at the moment. The plan was very much to push Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as a tag team, which would then be competing with the Usos and winning the tag team championships. That's been delayed because of the overall success of Sami Zayn. However, this will be something that they return to relatively soon. I did report on the spoiler warning the night Kevin Owens returned that he was going to be turning face, and the plan was to team with Sami Zayn. We're suddenly hearing a lot about that. Venom says, why was Von Wagner on Raw? Is this a hint for him to be called up? Yes and no. You're going to see a lot of soft call-ups that aren't call-ups, and you need to consider that as a strong possibility. A lot of people are going to pop up and then go back down again. For example, Roxanne Perez popped up and then popped straight back down again, not to be seen again since. So we're going to see a lot of that. Simon says, love the fact of her being heel with Bayley again. Will there be a 5-piece group going forwards in the future? I don't believe so. No. Welcome, Christopher Suarez. Rizal says, what about a Charlotte return? Hasn't been much about her since she left. Creative hiatus, as I say. Triple H has been putting together some plans for her. They're just not confident with the plans they've got at the moment. Ray, welcome, says that you're looking forward to seeing Saraya wrestle in AEW against Britt Baker. Yes, I am. Will says, I know a lot of women in WWE have openly talked about a women's mid-card title. Do you know any higher-ups have been thinking about it? It's been under consideration for a while, but it's not going at this point in time. A lot of women have talked openly about it. A lot of women have been asked about it directly. If you're asked about it, of course you're going to talk about it. Sean, thank you for confirming Von Wagner was on main event, not Raw. Very different thing. Bailey says, anything new on the status of Kevin Dunn in 2023? He still has his contract. He will continue to have his contract. He has not been fired. Anyone who has reported that he was fired, not so. Spider-Boss says, just thinking Sasha joining Damage Control for Survivor Series would be great. Both Sasha and Bayley lost against Bianca. Michael says, is Evolution 2 being considered? Yes, it is. Triple H has been championing that for a very, very long time, and he wants to make it happen. I believe he will succeed in doing so. Bismo says, Roxanne Perez needs to be on the main roster like yesterday. She needs to win that NXT Championship first for me. Simon says, how many matches will Saraya wrestle a year in AEW? Great question. I'd love it if that was a possible question to answer. Horsey City says, are WrestleVotes reliable? Yes and no. So, I have questions about WrestleVotes in general, because first and foremost, that's not their name. That's not their face. There is no accountability for WrestleVotes. Now, I get why, because it is someone within the WWE. If they put their real name on there with the stuff that they're leaking, they'd be fired on the spot. Fired on the spot. But that does mean there is no accountability whatsoever. When they report something and it's not found to be true, people don't care because it's not a named journalist. Now, a lot of people have really put over WrestleVotes over the years. But if you look back over the WrestleVotes backlog, if you look back at the WrestleVotes account for, say, a year and just read everything, you'll be unpleasantly surprised. Sean says, Dana wants to make the 24/7 title into a women's intercontinental title. Does Dana get what she wants? Was she asked that, or was she asked about doing that? Spider-Boss says, do you see Alba Fire, aka Kaylee Ray, beating Mandy for the NXT women's title? Nope. Pierre says, if Sasha comes back at War Games with Damage Control, do you think it'll be a surprise the day of the show? Yes. Horsey says, only ask after the tweet about Colt Cabana and Stanford watching carefully, presumably about Punk, then now Colt back. Yeah, I know they tweeted that. Being very careful about what I say here. I know they tweeted that, but I've not heard anything about anything like that. And it's a very open report. It's almost a very carefully open report. Simon says, Tom right again about Sasha again. Any possible Mania matches for Sasha going forwards? Would be a complete guess on my part. Simon says, what's your thoughts on Punk having a new t-shirt out in AEW? Unnecessary and a bit silly. Dad says his Wrestling Days reliable. I know we've got a lot of fans of Wrestling Days here. I have a lot of respect for the guy, so I would say so. Kim would like an Intercontinental Women's title. Ray says, do you think Klopp will quit Liverpool if they don't get top 4? No. Stuart says, Von Wagner was also part of the Lashley and Brock pull-apart on Monday. Okay. Simon says, your thoughts on the new Windicate Rico Lewis? I have no idea who that is. Rizal says, wait, WrestleVotes is a WWE employee. I've said too much. And on that note, I am going to wrap up. We will be live again later today for a SmackDown watch party, so be sure to tune in for that. And of course, if you haven't done so and you like what we do here, please consider subscribing. We are only at the start of the show, 17 away from reaching 1,800. Not long at all. Not long at all and not far. If we can get there by the end of today, I'll be a very, very happy man. In the meantime, though, as always, no Venom, I am not doing a live show for Saudi. No chance in hell. I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.